What's up, y'all, and welcome into the Jack Vita Show. We are back for some Deal or No Deal Island coverage. So we've got a lot coming up this week. So typically, we release the exit interview after Brooke, Struck, and I tape our recap. Not happening because Brooke and I, we're recording our recap a little later than normal. I got invited to the national championship game last night here in sunny Phoenix. So I went to the game, and then I said, sorry, Brooke, we're going to have to tape this a day late. So I'm giving you guys the exit interview first. Then, so this is going to run on, I believe, Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we'll have the recap out with Brooke. And Friday, we're going to have a special segment. Miranda has been joining us the last couple of weeks, and she's probably going to continue to join us throughout the remainder of the season. And this was obviously a very heated episode. So today we're going to get Alyssa Klinzing's take on everything. It's the exit interview with Alyssa. She just went out after episode 7. So I'm going to bring her in a second. But later in the week, Miranda and I are going to talk with Stephanie. So we're going to get Stephanie's perspective as well on things. It's going to be very interesting. So if you guys are interested in our Deal or No Deal Island coverage, hit that subscribe button. I think we have like 85% of our viewers aren't even subscribed to this channel. So what are you doing? Hit subscribe. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever it is that you get your podcasts. But I would love it if you guys would comment here on YouTube. And if you guys have questions for Stephanie, Miranda, myself, Brooke, we'll tackle those in our recap and our Deal or No Deal Island Insiders segment later in the week. So comment those questions or thoughts. Love to know what you guys think about Alyssa. Let's bring her in. And at this time, we're being joined by the latest contestant eliminated from Deal or No Deal Island, Alyssa Klinzing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. First thing I need to know, why am I talking with you today, of all days?
Today of all days, man, I was eliminated from the show by Stephanie, which, I would have taken pretty much any other way to go out other than that one. But, the cards is what it was. The deck was dealt the way it was, and I'm okay with it. And honestly, it's 7 months ago. I've had so much time to reflect on the experience, and I'm so grateful for it. I had the time of my life on Deal or No Deal Island. I would highly recommend it for anyone who's interested. It was an incredible experience, regardless of how it ended for me or some of the experiences I had on the show. I would do it all over again if I could.
So this was the 7th episode. So you made it about halfway. Mm-hmm. What do you think is there anything you think you could have done differently to ensure yourself to get to the end?
It's crazy watching it back. And in full transparency, I stopped watching after the excursion in last night's episode. I did not watch the temple portion because I was there, I lived it and experienced it myself, so I didn't feel the need to welcome any of that negativity into my home. It's my sacred space. I'm really intentional about, energies, and so I didn't watch it. However, I have watched everything up until that point, and it's so interesting to see it all play back and think about mentally what I was dealing with when I was there. And what I want people to consider is the fact that we all went into this game with no idea the rules, the premise, anything. We all flew for about 24 hours prior to getting to the hotel, and they put us directly in a meeting where they explained everything. They told us the rules, they told us how the game was going to work, and I'm sitting there fighting my eyes that are shutting against my will because I'm so tired, and I'm just trying to digest all of the information that I can. But it was challenging going in for the first season and having nothing to compare it to or to really pull from. And you see me in episode 3 try to pull a Big Brother style backdoor to Kim, and it completely backfired in my face. But I felt okay, wait, I think I know how to hack the game. I think I figured it out, and I literally did not. So that's at least plus for anyone coming after this season, because you really can't, you've seen it all play out. You really can't hack The temple portion, you really can't hack. The excursions, it's very, very much largely luck-based and chance, more so than skill and strategy. If I could do anything differently, I just wouldn't have messed with that plan to backdoor essentially Kim. But kind of the background of that plan was it was planned in the middle of the excursion, which a lot of people don't know and you can't tell in the edit, but that was a 2-day excursion. We ran out of sunlight about halfway through that day, had to go back to camp, had a whole night to scheme and plot and all these things. And then we went back the next day to finish. So we knew the order of who was throwing. We picked the order ourselves. I felt like, okay, we know Kim has a $50,000 case. If someone gets a steal and they steal her case, then she has a no value. I will go last. I will throw the competition. I'll miss the board. So I also have a no value case. And Kim and I will be the bottom two nights in a row. And then I will volunteer to go up. So everyone will think that I'm playing. And then on the spot, Rob will pick Kim to play and just hope that odds are 2 nights in a row, she's not going to make a good deal. Odds are she ends up going home. The pressure gets to her, you know, whatever it may be. And then after everything exploded on the stage, we went back to camp and I actually took full responsibility for everything to everyone in camp. I sat everyone down in the pavilion. I said, if you want to be here and listen, and that's great, because I knew I had to be the one to take responsibility or else it was going to get misconstrued a bunch of different ways. And I'm like, this from the horse's mouth, here's what it is. I apologize to Kim profusely, and we've talked about it even after the game, and it's all water under the bridge. But it really was just a way to try to hack the game, to try to like play this big game move. And had it worked, it would have been iconic, but it didn't, and that's okay. But it taught me that there really was no way to hack Deal or No Deal Island. It really is so much chance. And also, I mean, like, you just can't trust everyone in the game. I think I went into it a little bit more trusting than I thought I was going to be, especially in that moment. But Stephanie, Aron, and I had talked about this plan, and they both thought it was a good idea. We dispersed to tell other people, and then it was Stephanie and I telling Claudia. And then at the very last second, Rob brought up a what if scenario. What if this happens? If 2 people get a steal, then what? And then I started to like backpedal and freak out. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't think about that. And I tried to pull the plan at the last second. And it was Stephanie who was like, no, it's a good plan. Don't let Rob like get in your head and twist and like, this was your plan. It was a good plan. And I was like, okay, like, let's just stick with it. And it was so hectic up until the point where we were not allowed to talk to anymore to transport to the next location. And then everything kind of went down the way that it did. And had Stephanie said, okay, I'm feeling peer pressured, or I don't want to be included in this, or I don't want to be a part of this, I would have respected that entirely and it wouldn't have happened. It was either all or nothing. And at the time, she seemed super down, super into it. She was in 3 conversations prior to it actually happening. So once it's all going sideways, I'm like so confused, because she's genuinely trying to say that she did not know what was happening. And the 5 of us who were clued into the plan other than her, everyone was just so confused. So if I could go back and do it all over, probably wouldn't have fucked with that at all. But I did, and that's okay. And things worked out the way I believe that they were all meant to. I'm a firm believer in what's meant for you won't pass you by. And regardless of, my exit from the show, I'm still incredibly grateful to have been given the opportunity. I didn't walk away empty-handed. I made true friends, and I really did make the most of the experience, and I would do it all over again.
So from that point on, Stephanie sort of has it out for you, or what causes that rift?
So that starts kind of everything. And of course, like, Stephanie knows she's got a target on her back. I would have taken any opportunity to get her out if I was granted that opportunity. Had Claudia won her game of Deal or No Deal that night, she was actually going to turn and send Stephanie home. That was a conversation we had right before we went to Temple. So I knew that was what was happening. So when Claudia went home, I was devastated because I felt like it was so unfair. This whole plan, it was all my idea. She put herself on the line and now she was gone. I felt so responsible and so guilty. And I didn't want to see her go. She was such a lovely person. I loved spending time with her. And then when I got out of the game, I got to spend more time with her, and that was awesome. But I ended up going to Stephanie and trying to have a conversation and just put water under the bridge. I'm like, okay, after the episode where Kim was eliminated, that was the goal. We accomplished the goal. Rob got her out. Let's just let the negativity be gone. And let's just play the game. All play the game for ourselves. Start fresh. And I said, if there's anyone who's coming to me saying things about you, like, bring them to me and I will tell you if it's true or not to your face. And I will, like, give you that same courtesy, like, just give each other that courtesy. And I thought we were totally fine. And then fast forward to the ledger competition where Aron is the Baker's ledger. He told me to go back for a second case number. I went back into the jungle to find that case, found it, picked it up, and then when I was running back, I saw a tag on the ground. And I picked up the tag. It was tag number 7, I believe. And I tried to hand it off to producers and the camera crew and the people that were, like, on the outskirts of, like, our boundary. And nobody was talking to me. And it was like I was talking to a bunch of brick walls. I was like, hello, somebody dropped their tag. Like, somebody's running around and doesn't know what case number they have. Can they even, like, is this an issue? And then when no one's talking to me, I'm like, okay, well, my next thought process is let me just take the tag to Aron because he will be able to give it to whoever it belongs to. And at this point, I have no idea who's missing a tag. And so my decision in hiding the tag behind my case as I was running was probably not the best for me because Amy saw me running with a tag hidden. And so now she's thinking I'm trying to sabotage the game in some way. But that's literally impossible because had I done something like that, production would have stopped the game. It would have been reset. Like, I would have probably been out. Like, there was no reason for me to be sabotaging the game, and there was no way I could have. And so I went to this path. There was no cameras. There was one production crew waiting to send us in one by one to go talk to Aron. And I came in and I was in line behind Stephanie, and she, like, hovered over me, and she was like, you have my tag. And I was like, oh my gosh, here you go. I was, like, crouched down on the floor. I handed it to her. No questions asked. I really did not think it was a big deal at all. I was so unbothered and so unworried. I was like, awesome. I got the tag to who it was meant to. She's going in to talk to Aron now. Tag with the case. Great. Then she goes into Aron to tell him that I'm a snake and that he should watch out and all of these things. And then I come in behind her and I'm, like, all happy. And Aaron's like, I need to tell you what Stephanie just said. And I'm just like, I'm so confused because all I was doing was helping. And then we get out, we go to lock our cases in, and Stephanie and I had a pretty heated conversation, but it was pretty one-sided because she did not want to listen to my explanation and me telling her, like, how would I possibly sabotage the game and how could I possibly target you and know that you have this case? Like, it is actually impossible. And in that moment, I was like, I wish I would have just left it sitting on the ground. I wish that I wouldn't have tried to be helpful, even though I didn't know who it belonged to. And that was definitely a regret I had. Hindsight, obviously 2020, but obviously none of that aired and none of it could air because I was talking to production and then there was no cameras over off to the side. And after that moment happened, that's when there was a really big shift. So when people are like, I don't understand what Alyssa did to, like, be talked about this way, treated this way, all of these things, in my brain, I think that's where it happened, and it could not air because of who I was interacting with and where there were no cameras. So that was honestly just, like, shit luck, really. And at that point, I knew Stephanie, if I could take a stab at her, I would. I knew the opposite was true for her, and I was okay with that. But to me, in my head, it was truly just game. I didn't really think it was any deeper than that. I didn't know that she was going around, like, calling me names. I'm glad that Rob shut it down in the times that he did. But the day I was eliminated, I passed the first aid tent where Amy was inside talking to someone from production about how heavy it was, like Stephanie's hatred for me, how it was affecting her and how heavy it was on her. And that's the first moment I got kind of cued into like, okay, I think this is actually a little deeper than what I'm considering. And then when Temple happened and she reacted the way that she did, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I had a choice really to sit there and meet her at that level or not. And to me, it just didn't seem worth it. At this point, we have no idea if I'm staying or if I'm going. And if she really feels the need to get that all off her chest in the way that she did, then like, who am I to take that from her? But also, there was not full truth to what she was saying, and I'm trying to defend myself. I'm trying to speak for myself. She's speaking over me. She won't let me get a word in. Aron's having a panic attack next to me, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm just done. If I leave, it's okay. If I stay, it's okay. I turned to Aron. I said, it's okay. I'm okay. Like, let's just let this all go. I said, I'm just excited for it all to be over, whatever the outcome is. And I had a gut feeling that day, especially after hearing the comment from Amy. I was like, I think that this is the end of my journey, and I had made peace with that. I did not shed a tear. I was truly at peace with where I had gotten in the game. My goal was to make it at least halfway, get my airtime, and walk away with a personal offer and friends. And I did all of those things. So for me, it was a complete and total win, all in all. And I don't have any animosity towards anyone in the cast. Like, there are people there that I am the best of friends with, I talk to every day, and there's people that I will never talk again in my entire life. And that's okay. And that's reflective of life. And really, I wish every single person the best, and I'm excited to see the rest of the season play out.
All right, Alyssa, we're running out of time. So my last question here, how would you describe your friendship relationship with Aron?
He's one of my best friends. I've already asked him to be in my wedding. I talk to him every day. Anyone who's like saying our friendship is bogus or creepy or disgusting, like, is just flat out wrong. I don't know why it's so hard for some people to look at our friendship and see such negativity in it, because he was the person that I felt the safest with there. I really gravitate towards like calm energy people, and he was just right out the gate. He was one of them. And so I value our friendship. I've loved seeing, from the moment we met, from the moment I got eliminated to wrapping the show, and here we are 7 months later, and I'm so proud of him. Can't wait to see what the rest of the season has in store. And if you were rooting for me on the show, then I hope that you're rooting for Aron after I'm gone.
Alyssa, why don't you give us your social media handle so people can follow you if they want to follow what's next for you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Alyssa Klinzing, just my first and last name, and follow me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jack. I had a blast.
All right, guys, that does it for my exit interview with Alyssa. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're also going to speak with Stephanie later in the week. And that will be very interesting. It'll be a lot of, there's a lot going on here. So it's good to get Alyssa's perspective. And Alyssa, I know that you only got 15 minutes today to talk. So if you would like to come on here and do a longer form interview and talk in greater detail, I will certainly have you anytime you want to do that. So don't feel that we are being unbalanced here, that Stephanie's getting an hour and Alyssa's getting 15 minutes. Alyssa had to do probably like 10 interviews today, so she can't really do an hour-long one today. But Alyssa, if you want to come on another time, you're more than welcome to. So Stephanie and Miranda will join us later in the week. Before that, Brooke Struck and I will have our recap episode where we're going to break down this episode. So those are going to be different episodes because we'll get more of an insider thing from Stephanie and Miranda, and then Brooke and I will kind of be breaking it down like a post-game show like you would when you're watching sports. You guys can subscribe. Make sure that you're following this channel. Hit subscribe to Jack Vita Show. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. You can follow me at Jack Vita Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. until our next episode with Brooke, I'm Jack Vita, bringing the dancing lobsters.